Hello, everybody. I am very excited to talk a bit about the new Darkest Dungeon 2 patch notes. Red Hook is renowned for doing an incredible job of early access, and this is just evidence that they are back in top form. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up the patch notes. I realize it's a little small, and I will actually... we're gonna do it live here. I'm gonna fix the glitch. Where is my browser? There it is. Unlock that. Drag it like that. Drag it like that. If you're not doing it live, are you even doing it, right? Boom. All right, that's as big as it's going to get. I apologize to YouTube world for it being a little small, but let's just get right into it. So, one of the headline changes here appears to be the fact that in combat, affinity changes were broken-ish, and sometimes very illogical. Kill stealing would show up when it wasn't supposed to, etc. I think this is going to radically simplify the process of keeping people friends, for lack of a better way to describe it. This is something I had mentioned in my videos previously, but the save files are many thousands of files for some reason, and it was causing a lot of issues. It looks like they've adjusted that. We'll see if that fixes the Epic Game Store's issue where it would hang syncing to cloud for a long time. There was some type of inventory exploit. We're not gonna go through every one of these line by line. This one though, update the replay cinematic button at the House of Denial. Every single streamer that I watched played fell victim to this. And I think it's just really funny. Basically, when you went in, it looked like a play button, but it was actually a replay cinematic. They fixed some visual issues with the Grave Robber and the Plague Doctor holding their weapons. They've lessened barks. They've done 2 adjustments to that. Made some changes to some of the boss fights that were acting a little funky. The fix for the dysentery effect double applying on load, I think we suffered from this one, and it might have killed one of our characters, but citation needed on that one. It appears that they've also made some changes to fixes for end of combat issues that resulted in rendering issues. There are lots of little adjustments here. And then UI changes, all are very welcome. Increased font size in the bottom left for tooltips. This is going to be a nice thing. Added resist labels for tooltips. That's going to be nice. I'm not sure what added relic cost display to bribe. I think the bribe is one of the huddled masses or the desperate few, but I'm not entirely sure. And then biome goal label color updated. There's a bunch of other minor tweaks, but this is pretty standard stuff, things that we've run into. Gameplay changes, though. Here are some big ones. So first of all, a large tuning pass based upon observations. Short-term goal is to have less chatter instead of a small number of meaningful moments. This is great because anyone who has played a snowbally run in either direction, I have played both, has seen the nightmare that is every action is accompanied by 7 barks or things like that. Affinity changes. Fix several important but broken affinity changes due to healing and buffing. This is really good. Hopefully it means your characters being nice to each other will build more relationship faster. Reduced proc rates for many affinity changes. Again, less barks. And then increased effect of the most meaningful and logical affinity changes. AKA Hero A is on death's door and Hero B chooses to heal someone else. Hero A gets upset. Brilliant. I think there's going to be a lot more of this as we kind of like go through early access, but getting it so that it feels like the characters are very naturally interfacing with one another is excellent. Very, very good changes. Relationship act. Audit and adjustment to the proc rates. You know, how often are characters healing one another? It seemed like they were healing a lot. I would kind of expect stress healing to be more of a thing that relationships add, but we'll see. Generally increase the magnitude of things that positive and negative act outs can do. Look for bigger moments and less noisy interruptions. We like that a lot. And then add a variety of positive and negative act outs. For example, buffs might now include other tokens besides strength. Cool. We like that. Not going to pay too much attention to the stat bonuses, but reduced relationship dot resists. Basically, your positive relationships were making your characters more resilient than they necessarily should have been. And then meltdowns, I think this is a welcome change. After you melt down, you come back in with only 2 stress, right? Your hit points are going to get obliterated, but your stress is going to be relatively low. And that is going to help out with not causing this kind of like chain meltdown that was so common in the game. And then meltdowns will no longer give lost in quirks. We had that one run where every one of our character had like lost in space, lost in time. It was humorous, but it does seem that these are reserved for like cosmic events. So I'm thinking cultists, maybe only shamblers, and other similar baddies. So moving on to the heroes, every one of these is going to be big and impactful, and there's one headline thing that I'll kind of cover first, which is there's basically, it appears, no way to stress heal your party to 0 anymore. All of the abilities like Ounce of Prevention, the Hellions Revelry, previously gave massive bonuses because you could get your party stress down to 0. Doesn't look like that's happening anymore. But let's go through it line by line. Reduced cap on Death Blow to 90 instead of 95. I don't think we capped out ever, but we certainly had some incredibly long strings of Death Blows. Stress recovered from skills now operate on thresholds similar to healing, right? This is what I was saying before. You're not always going to be able to stall out a fight and stress heal to 0. Tooltips related to stress thresholds have been updated for better legibility. This is good. I assume they did something similar to what they did with healing. Prevented numerous skills from being used on corpses. I'm curious which ones these are. We won't know until we get in there. Grave Robber's Absinthe now has a 3-use limit. Didn't use it much anyways. Grave Robber's Dead of Night no longer triggered an effect if it misses. Interesting. Next bunch here. Highwayman's Riposte. And then also down here, Man-at-Arms and Man-at-Arms Riposte. Looks like Riposte is too strong. Surprise to no one who has played this game very much. So, go figure. Jester's Inspiring Tune has a slightly lower stress threshold requirement for use. Thank goodness. This one really hurt. It made the Jester basically worthless for stress healing because 6, was so high. I'm guessing they only lowered it to like 4. So if you do a full stress heal on 5, you'll get down to 2. Plague Doctor's Ounce of Prevention gets and Hellions Revelry get their adjustments. Adjusted the description of the Hellions Winded token to reflect that it persists until end of combat. We already knew that, though. And then Occultist Rid Reconstitution has a battle limit. Let the 0 heal bleeds commence in abundance. Thank you, Red Hook. I'm not going to go through all of the enemy changes here, but to kind of hit like some high notes here, as we go through. They made significant changes to the Antiquarians. Looks like all positive buffs to make the Antiquarian a little scarier to fight. The Denial boss, I'm going to leave myself spoiler free on this, but it looks like they have upped the difficulty pretty significantly. So excited to see that when we get in. And then we have some backstory changes, some miscellaneous changes. But overall, very excited to get into another run here.